morning. Good morning. Welcome to Kids App Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, for this hour, we here are one gathered congregation, and all are welcome. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing our musical call to worship. We give thanks, hymn 1010 in our teal-colored hymnal. I use she, her pronouns. I'm tall, wearing a red shirt and a black blazer with dark blonde hair and a ponytail. So our guest speaker today is Reverend Kari Kopnick. Reverend Kopnick serves as the community minister and the acting executive director of the Chaplaincy Institute, an interfaith seminary and community based in Berkeley, California. She lives in Kent with her husband, with whom she raised 3 sons. Reverend Kopnick has been in our pulpit before, and we're pleased to welcome her back. If you are visiting this morning, please participate as you feel comfortable. If you are here in person, fidget toys and rocking chairs are available for your wiggles and sensory needs. And we have assistive listening systems available. If you need one, please see one of the ushers. You're also invited to stay and meet people during our coffee hour. Many members of the congregation attend online. If you are visiting online today, you're welcome to introduce yourself in the chat. More announcements about Kitsap UU Fellowship activities are available in our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. You can sign up on the website or in the foyer. Let's now take a moment to silence any electronic devices that you don't need to be monitoring for the next hour. And please join me in taking a few centering breaths. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along the Washington Central Salish Seas, as they have for thousands of years. Here the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. Our opening words are by Jade M. Kaiser. What I mean by God is bread for everyone, is shared rage at cruelty, is attention where it is needed, is grief held in community, is blooming uninhibited, is water flowing freely, is children at ease, is mystery and magic, is how trustworthy the rising, collective, and determined, powered by love, rooted in truth, sharing in risk. We welcome Lane Daniels to come up and light our chalice. Lane has been a member of KUUF for 3.5 years. He recently volunteered to be the chair of our Social Justice Committee. The Social Justice Committee coordinates our fellowship's social justice activities and hosts many of them. It meets on the 3rd Sunday of each month after our worship service. If you would like to join, please see Lane after the service today. Join me now in lighting our chalice. If you have your own chalice or candle at home, please light it as I read our chalice lighting words. We light this chalice as a symbol of faith in the unknown, trusting that even in the face of uncertainty, we are guided by a larger loving force. Now please join me in the spoken affirmation. The words will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing hymn number 391, Voice Still and Small, in Singing the Living Tradition, the Gray Hymnal.
Good morning. You guys look great from up here. My name's Liz Roberts, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm in my 50s, I have short dark hair, I wear glasses, and this morning I'm wearing a dark brown sweater and a scarf that Brian brought me one year from GA. Welcome to our final week of exploring the practice of trust. All month long, we've been exploring trusting ourselves, trusting others, trusting life, and last week we talked about fixing broken trust. Today, we're exploring trusting our inherent worth and the voice in our head that says things like, I am worthy, I am special, and I deserve to be treated with respect. So with that in mind, I'm going to share a short story with you. It's one of Aesop's fables. It's called The Lion and the Mouse. I would be no teacher if I didn't tell you that a fable is a literary genre defined as a succinct fictional story, usually with animal characters. And it's told orally to teach a lesson or a moral. And in case it's ever on jeopardy, Aesop lived in ancient Greece during between 620 and 564 before the Common Era. So this is an old story. Once upon a time, a lion lay sleeping in his den, and a naughty little mouse ran up the lion's tail and onto his back, and then all the way up to his mane, and he danced and jumped on his head, and that made the lion wake up. The lion grabbed the mouse and, holding him in his large claws, roared in anger, "How dare you wake me up? Don't you know I am king of the beasts? Anyone who deserves my rest deserves to die. I shall kill you and eat you." That terrified little mouse, shaking and trembling, begged the lion to let him go. "Please don't eat me, Your Majesty. I did not mean to wake you. It was a mistake, and I was only playing. Please let me go, and I promise I will be your friend forever. Who knows? One day, I could even save your life." The lion looked at the little mouse and laughed. "You save my life? What an absurd idea," he said scornfully. "But you made me laugh, and you put me in a good mood again, and so I'm going to let you go." And so the lion opened up his claws and let the mouse go free. "Oh, thank you, Your Majesty," squeaked the mouse, and he scurried away as fast as he could. A few days later, that lion was caught in a hunter's snare. Struggle as he might, he could not break free, and he became more and more entangled as he struggled. He let out a roar of anger that shook the forest, and every animal heard it, including that little mouse. "My friend, the lion is in trouble," cried the mouse, and he ran as fast as he could in the direction of the lion's roar. Soon he found that lion trapped in the hunter's snare. "Hold still, Your Majesty," squeaked the little mouse. "I'll have you out of here in just a jiffy." And without further delay, the mouse began nibbling through those ropes with his sharp little teeth. And very soon, the lion was free. I did not believe that you could be of use to me, little mouse, but today you saved my life," the lion said humbly. "I'm sorry," said the lion, "for not seeing and trusting your worth." This story reminds us somehow when someone is different from us, or younger, or smaller, that they can sadly and mistakenly be seen as less worthy. So in the week and days, and dare I say months and years ahead, may all of us, kids and adults alike, remember, just like the lion trusted in that little mouse, to trust in everyone's inherent worth, especially when they are different from us.
As a religious community, together we can do the work of many. By sharing in the sacred act of giving, we transform gratitude into generosity towards our mission. One way that our mission inspires us to act on shared UU values is to share our weekly offering with a local nonprofit agency, providing services within our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of March is the Kitsap Black Student Union. In a moment, our ushers will move among us with baskets to collect the offering. If this is your first time at KUUF, feel free to let the basket pass. Your presence is your gift. And we are changing our offering process for charitable giving starting today. So if you would like your offering to go to this month's charitable giving recipient, Kitsap Black Student Union, please use the envelope from your order of service. And if you would like your offering to go to KUF, please put it directly in the basket. Instructions on other ways to make your gift, including a QR code, will be on screen. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our beloved community, while we enjoy a gift of music from Martin Sorensen and Meredith Howlett performing Martin's composition, Impressions. Beautiful, thank you guys. Please rise in body or in spirit to join me in singing our children up to their classes. The words for May You Go With Joy will appear on the screen. Now is the time for our joys and sorrows. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows are lessened. We have a joy and a sorrow from Regina May. My joy is my daughter is here for a much-needed visit. And my sorrow is eugenics being used to harm and kill our children. We have a joy from Ed Luby. The support of my amazing family as I begin to write a new unconventional chapter of my life. A joy from Bonner Sams, that in spite of all that's going horribly wrong in our country, he's still able to live with an attitude of gratitude. Brian Watson has a sorrow that the little pillow that he sits on when playing the drums at church has gone missing. It is light blue with brown accents, and he misses it. Yeah, brownie face, yes. We have a joy from the Sturika family that we have a new member. Devin Ray Sturika was born at 3:37 p.m. on the first day of spring, March 20th, 2025. He weighed 7 pounds 8 ounces and was 20 inches long. Delivery went smoothly and mama and baby are healthy and recovering well. Yes, welcome sweet baby Devin. Janice Webb has a joy. What a great subject today's topic brings. So excited for the new twist Ed Luby's life's journey is presenting to him. So much adventure and joy awaits. Yay.
Thanks, Mom.
Yes, thanks, Mom. And we have a sorrow from Rick Freeman. On Monday, March 24th, Don Tarbutton's wish for a peaceful passing came true. He was supported in his passing by a BI Senior Center Queer Elders family group, which he helped found, and Kaiser Hospice. Don was a member of KUUF for the past 5 years and treasured the fellowship and social justice emphasis of the congregation. Don fully lived his 88 and a half years and looked forward to reuniting with his soul partner, Steve Glancy, who preceded him in 1995 when Don was the executive director of Hospice of Kitsap County. He said that he wanted to be remembered for having lived a meaningful life because of being a gay man, not in spite of it. He left a bequest to help KUUF continue to be a beacon of light for how life might be for all people. I'm sure his heart and love remain united with all of yours. And we light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share. Please join me in a moment of prayer or intention. Spirit of life and love, our hearts are overflowing with lamentation and longing. In the circle of care and compassion, we hold those who have shared their joys with us. For each shared joy is a form of nourishment for all of us. In this circle of care and compassion, we faithfully witness those who have shared their sorrows with us. For each shared sorrow touches our hearts, and we accept the call to lighten the burden of our friend. Please remain seated as we sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life, in our gray hymnal. The words will appear on your screen. Our reading this morning is called A Morning Offering by John O'Donohue. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath, the tent of thought where I shelter. Waves of desire I am sure to, and all beauty drawn to the eye. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more. Now please join me in a moment of reflection, followed by our post-reflection music. Place your hand on the ground. Remember how she holds you down. Let your throat make a sound. Allow the flow in everything around. And keep your eyes to the sky. Believe that everything helps you rise. 'Cause hope is what keeps you high. Above this world of compromise. Whoa. Hold your head in your hands. Give up direction, give up your plans. Though you don't understand, anew is built when broken things end. The rest is not up to you. Give up control, allow for the new. And keep your head up, my love, for beautiful things come from above. Whoa. From above. Ooh, and what you don't know is this is how your story goes. It ebbs and it flows like the ocean. And just like the sea, it is vast with mystery. So don't let go of hope, you'll find your way. Whoa, you will find your way. Ooh, look around at the stars. They shine so bright even from afar. I see the light shining you, even after what you've put yourself through. So don't be anxious, my dear. There's always beauty drawing you near. No, you're never alone, for the earth is here and she is your home. Whoa, this is your home. Ooh, and what you don't know is this is how your story goes. It ebbs and it flows like the
morning. I don't know that we need anything else. Hannah, thank you. That was beautiful. Oh my gosh. Wow. My name is Kari Kopnick, and I am a white, late middle-aged woman with fair chin-length curly hair. I'm wearing glasses and a black and white top and black pants. It is such a joy to be with you today. Last fall, I split some plants in my garden that I got from your plant shelf out here. And that I got a few years ago, obviously, if they're ready to split. And I think of you all every time I see those plants. So thank you so much. It's a joy to remember you and to tend my garden with a little bit of KUUF there. I just finished the Book of Hope, A Survival Guide for Trying Times by Jane Goodall. If you haven't read it, do. I got it from the library on audiobook, and she narrates it with her co-author, Doug Abrams. It's a conversation, and it's a lovely book. She says that she never reads her speeches. She comes with notes and bullet points so that she can connect with her audience. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. So please bear with me. And if I go on too long, somebody wave their arms and say, okay, Kari, our potluck is waiting, and you can wrap it up now. Some of you have probably heard this story because I've been here a number of times now, but I grew up in a small UU fellowship in Bloomington, Minnesota. It was one of the plants from the fellowship movement. First Universalist in Minneapolis saw a need in the southern suburbs, and they planted a church there. It was meant to be a lay-led congregation with speakers from the community. This was before the principles were adopted in 1985, before the UU Women's Federation brought the lighting of a chalice to our services. So I grew up with no principles, no chalice lighting, no covenant even, but with a very, very strong identity as a Unitarian Universalist. This was a fiercely secular, humanist congregation, which suited my atheist mother very well. In the late 70s, or maybe even earlier, the UUA had a program for extension ministry where they would place a minister in a small congregation so they could have some ministerial formation, experience, support for the congregation. And I don't know if there was a glut of seminarians who graduated who needed to get to what we used to call then final fellowship, or if there was just a need for this, but I met my first minister, an extension minister, in about, I think, 1979, and when I saw him speak, I thought, that's who I am, that's what I am. I knew inside that I was a minister. The years went by, and I went on living a regular teenage 1980s life and young adulthood. I went to a huge research university majoring in philosophy because I thought that's what a minister would need. It wasn't. But along the way in those years, I had some beautiful mystical experiences. Deep in the woods of Manitoba, on giant lakes with disappearing horizons, and watching eagles soar. There was one point I was out for 6 weeks away from civilization. It was the 80s, there were no sat phones, far away from all that is, and I had an awakening and a realization that there was so much more than self, that I was connected to that eagle and that lake and the rivers and the waterfalls and all that is. I knew with all my being that there was something greater. And when I realized that, it was clear that I had always felt this way. This awareness then became part of my everyday experience, a unitive oneness of all, that I eventually began to call God. Now, my mother was very upset. She had raised me to be a good atheist, and here I was using the word God. But I was also a minister in waiting. But I didn't understand how you could go to seminary and become a minister in your 20s with so little life behind you. I got married and I had 3 wonderful children. We moved to Seattle and I became a director of religious education, or a DRE, because that was the only way that I had ever seen women becoming ministers. All the women ministers I knew had been DREs first. I loved the work. I loved the kids. I was telling Beth that when I started, we had 23 kids in the congregation, and by the time I left, we had 125. It was a beautiful, heady time of growth. We bought a church building in the middle of the housing crisis. Eventually, I went on to work for the Church of the Larger Fellowship, a church without walls, in online learning and family ministry. I worked for the professional organization that supported DREs, the Liberal Religious Educators Association, Loretta. And then I had a big fallout with a beloved family member. And as I was at the airport waiting to go home, I had a bolt come through me of clarity. And it was a clarity of heart and of soul, but literally also of vision. It was clear to me that it was time to go to seminary. It didn't make any sense. I had 2 kids in college. We had moved to Southern California where the housing prices were astronomical, but it was time. I'm not sure if any of you have seen, I'm sure some of you have seen the Pixar movie Toy Story. Maybe this was part of your raising kids or grandkids, or maybe yourself. In the story, the toys come to life when their child, Andy, or his parents are out of the room. When the toys are alone, they have a whole community and a life together. I went to high school with the director of Toy Story, Pete Docter, and he looks exactly like Woody. I'm not even kidding. But eventually, the other main character, Buzz Lightyear, makes his way to a big pizza restaurant, Pizza Palace. And he sees a spaceship, and he thinks he can take that back to his home planet because he thinks he's a real spaceman. And so he makes his way up into that toy, that game, and it's one of those claw games where the claw comes down and gets a toy, and you can maneuver it to the chute and win the toy. The toys who are already in, Buzz makes his way up there, and he's with the other toys, and the toys in there tell him that there's a powerful claw that moves. The claw chooses who will go and who will stay. So this moment of stark clarity I had at the airport wasn't yet as if I had been picked up and moved, but it was close. There have been times in my life that I felt that the claw has come down and picked me up and set me down someplace else, someplace that I was truly meant to be. What I've come to understand is that there is a divine something for me that is a part of choosing to move me along from one place to another. Now, this is not a part of my theology, divine providence, divine transcendent, that there is a God who is immanent and present in our lives. My mother would shake her head and tisk at me, Kari, Kari. But this was just like that awakening I had in the wilderness, where I had that growing feeling of a sense of wonderment and connection to all that is, that unitive oneness. Once I realized that the divine moved in my life, I understood that I had always felt this way. But it became clearer and less clouded. In 2020, I was working as a chaplain in a hospital, and I loved it. I had no idea that I would love it. I went to seminary not because I wanted to do congregational ministry, and that is part of why I chose a wider interfaith ordination and not a UU ordination. I thought I was going to learn how to work or to make a ministry working with families and children, because I could see that it was really, really hard for families to get to church on Sunday, both when I was a religious educator and for myself They schedule soccer games on Sunday mornings. So I thought, but I could see the difference that a spiritual support made in the life of a child coming of age our whole lives, those kinds of things. A community, an awareness that not only their mind and their emotional health needed to be tended, but their spiritual health. So that's why I went to seminary, because I thought I was uniquely qualified to serve families and children. Part of our training at the Chaplaincy Institute, where I went to seminary, was a requirement, and is still a requirement, for hands-on chaplaincy. So I did a formal clinical pastoral education, or CPE, at a hospital. And I found that I absolutely loved it. On my first overnight, I had, in the emergency department, got called to a shooting, a stabbing, a fall while incarcerated, and an overdose. And I thought, if I could do that, I could do anything. I loved blessing newborn babies or sitting with families on the oncology ward. I found that I could connect with people even in full Trump regalia in the waiting room on the worst day of their life. In seminary, I had learned to listen in three voices, to listen to the person I'm sitting with, to listen for my own reactions, my own internal voice, but then also to listen for the voice of the divine. And when I did that, I could feel the people I was with calm, their body calm, their emotions calm, their very soul calm. This was where I belonged. This is what I was meant to do. This is why I went to seminary. This is why I recognized myself in that first minister I met in 1979, and I knew who I was and what I was. I changed my plan, and I was invited for a year-long residency and asked eventually to train as an educator, somebody who runs the CPE program. I knew that I had found my calling. After my ordination, I started my residency and soaked in the learning and the loving and the work. It was everything that I wanted. And then it wasn't. It was during COVID, before vaccinations, and I could see that one vector of COVID transmission was from staff to patients. I was going from the emergency department to the neonatal intensive care unit. I had a very serious exposure in the wound care. Somebody sat with for a long time in a closed room with just those paper masks on, the surgical masks on. And then a couple days later, he came into the emergency department, and I said, I'm going to go see him. And the charge nurse said, oh no, he's got COVID. I could no longer make myself go into rooms. I physically couldn't make myself tend to the people. And so I had to leave. I had to honor the wisdom of my body and leave. I felt like I had lost something really real. I was bereft. There was my career, my vocation, my call evaporating. I had done some marketing work for the seminary I attended when I was in school. And so the day after I left the hospital, I called the executive director and I said, I've got some free time if there's anything I can do. And he paused for a long time and he said, our community minister resigned 12 hours ago. A bolt went through my body from my head to my toes. It was the claw. It had moved, and it set me down exactly where I belonged. Somehow, I knew this was it. I didn't doubt. I didn't wonder. I didn't question. The trust was complete. I was moved. And I discovered, really, as I went through this process, that it wasn't that healthcare chaplaincy had not been the right thing. It was that the healthcare chaplaincy prepared me to be the community minister, to support people in seminary who are becoming chaplains. I was installed as the community minister. And a big part of my job as the community minister is to create a container, to build a container so that people can live into their call. When I talk to our students, I tell them that it's our job to love them into their ministry, which stops them short and brings tears to their eyes. And I don't know how I knew to say that. I don't know how I had that awareness. It came through me. I was loved into my ministry. I was picked up and moved by something beyond myself. A couple of years ago, one of our new clergy members said to me, "Kari, you were made for this." And I think I was. Then, a few months ago, almost 5 years after the claw had moved me into the community minister role, here it came again. The Chaplaincy Institute was experiencing some huge financial issues. We were downsizing and clawing and scraping for money. The managing director decided she had to leave, and the board asked me if I would take the lead. My first response was to dive under the other toys in the space crane game and say, "No, thank you. I do not want to be the fall guy." I would keep doing the community minister role, and I'd keep doing the marketing because I know how to do that, but I would not step into a leadership role. And then we got news of a magical donation of $84,000. The congregation that we had used a building to meet in for many years was closing their doors. They could no longer sustain themselves. And they were going to sell their building in Berkeley. They chose between, I think they said 20 or 30 potential recipients, and voted unanimously that we would be one of 5 recipients of the money that they earned selling their building. I told the board president, "Angels are real, miracles happen, and I would be happy to serve as the acting executive director." I felt like I was absolutely picked up again and moved into a place that I was meant to be, doing work I was meant to do. I love this work. I love being the person who can make the change, who can say, "This is what we need to do," who can plan the staff retreat. Just this last week, I hired somebody to come on. I increased the seminary deans, the academic deans' hours. I brought on a marketing team that actually, it's a very cool organization. We have their bookkeeping and their marketing team. It's an organization founded by a Pakistani American, and he has an office in Pakistan where they hire Christians, because Pakistan's a Muslim nation, and women and queer folk, and it's an American-style office, and so I'm really happy to contract with them. But we're building. When we got the check, it was not $84,000, it was $98,000. So the things just seemed to line up. We found $7,000 in an auction fund that hadn't been transferred over to our budget. Our enrollments are skyrocketing. Our donations are larger than they've ever been. Trusting that it was the right thing was clearly what's moving in my life, what's moving for the institution. I'm not by nature a risk taker. I take 3 jackets with me on a hike because the weather might change. My purse basically holds a first aid kit. And when I enter a new building, I look for the exits because you never know what's going to happen. But these things, this claw, I trusted. They were beyond me. Truly felt like I was placed where I was supposed to be. And I trusted that the next step I would find solid ground, even though I couldn't see what was before me. Would I be able to lead a ceremony that is for some people the most important day of their life? Yes, I would. Yes, I did, and I do, and I will again on May 3rd when I lead the next ordination ceremony. Can I learn enough QuickBooks to stumble my way through and not mess anything up, but be able to see the money that's going in and coming out, or coming in and going out? Yes, I would, and yes, I do. How do we trust? I can tell you what, it's not a pros and cons list. It's not an intellectual activity. It's not a decision rubric. It's letting my mind and body lead, letting my soul go, letting whatever that still small voice within me is saying direct me, knowing that it is connected to all of the vibrations through the entire universe. Now, I still have my mother in me. I'm not saying let go and let God. I did just get a certificate in nonprofit management from the University of Washington, primarily so I could understand, after 20 years of reading nonprofit budgets, how I didn't see that the Chaplaincy Institute was so in debt. But I did get that certificate, so I was ready to be the executive director, and I was an ordained minister before I took the role as the community minister. I do my part, but somehow something else is moving. There was always a place where I could have said, oh no, not me. I'm safe, I'm comfortable, I don't want to do that. I'm not ready for this change or this move. But I really didn't feel I had a choice. I felt like I had to trust my body and trust my deep inner knowing and my connection to all that is and all that has ever been. It's something that I understand intellectually and yet more deeply spiritually than I can ever explain. What about you? Have you taken a step that you just had to take? Have you been called into a trust that is beyond knowing with your mind, but moves with your soul and your heart and your body? Let's take just a moment. I invite you to place your hand on your heart or your belly or your head or your throat, whatever moves for you. If it's available to you, cast your eyes down or close your eyes. Feel the breath flowing in and flowing out. Listen. Listen with your heart. Feel with your energy. Trust. Trust yourself. Trust what you feel. It might not be today, in this moment, but maybe later you will hear something calling. And you tell yourself to trust that whatever it is that pulls and moves might be true. If you would like to, I invite you to rub your hands together, a little bit of a somatic exercise to let our bodies know we are safe. When I am leading ordination ceremonies, I explain the meaning of our ordination stoles to the people who are being ordained, the ordinands. I tell them that the stole we wear is an outward symbol of this decision that they have made to make themselves available, to answer the call, to say yes to spirit and to the universe, to say, here I am. I'll go. Send me. And you can do this. You can trust. You can say, Here I am. I'll go. Send me. And who knows where we might be sent? Who knows where the claw might move? But please, please, may we all remember that wherever we go, we are not alone. Here we are together, trusting to infinity and beyond. I want to just keep talking, but I know it's time. I'm going to invite you now to join us for closing hymn number 396 in the gray hymnal, singing the living tradition. I know this rose will open. Ed is going to explain to us what we're going to do, but we're going to sing it in a round.
So of course, we're singing in a round, so that means that I'm up here, right? Can everyone have access to me over here? Y'all over there? Anyone over here? Okay.
I forgot to say rise in body or spirit, sorry.
Rise in body. So this is a round. This is an odd round compared to what we usually do. The verses stack like this. I know this rose, I know this rose, I know this. So it's not what you would traditionally look at. As soon as you hear the word rose in, you're going to come in on the next part. This is section number 1 over here. This is section number 2, led by Tiffany. Section number 3 is our Brian Watson person over here. And our final area over there, he is Brian Kenny. So we will sing through all together so that we understand the melody. Then we will sing the round part 3 times, and I'll hold my fingers up as to which round we're on. When we get to the end of the 3rd one, we're just going to shut up. We're not going to continue to try to sing something over and over again because it won't mesh with them, and it'll just be terribly confusing. So let's start all together first time through. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my spirits will burn away. I know my
Please be seated. So today is our monthly potluck lunch after service. So we'll need help with setting up the tables and placing chairs around them in this room. If you can help, please do. And today we are using compostable plates instead of the regular reusable plates. So when you're done with your plates, please just put them over there in that window by the kitchen, and we will compost them. We always have more food than we need, so if you can, everyone, please stay for the potluck and enjoy each other's company. Our closing words were written by our speaker today, Reverend Kari Kopnick. I trust that my heart knows the way. I trust my will to hold. I trust that I am to go. I trust that this is the way. I trust that obstacles will move or be scalable. I trust myself. I trust spirit, the trees, the oceans, the sky, and the stars. I trust my way.